Hello, I'm Mike. Welcome back to the workshop. So if you've seen my videos before, you probably know that I have a little bit of a problem when it comes to books. See video here. But I also have a problem when it comes to bookmarks. When you have as many books as I have, you need bookmarks for them. And I make bookmarks out of everything. I literally have bags of them. My favourite thing to make bookmarks out of this beautiful wood. But my collection of bookmarks is getting quite large. As I said, they're stored in bags, which is no place for them. Good old-fashioned bookmarks to be. So, I'm going to make a sad thing a happy thing. This right here is a copy of the excellent Making Money by Terry Pratchett, which I would recommend you buy. This, unfortunately, is the state in which I found it. And as much as it hurts me, well, I'm going to use the pages from this excellent book to decorate this otherwise useless cardboard box to make a cool storage box for my bookmarks. Now, I know what you're saying. This is not a craft channel. It's a woodworking channel. So, I'm also going to show you two ways in which you can make your own wooden bookmarks. So, it's that time again. Roll VT! You can see here some of the wooden bookmarks I've made over the years. I've also given away hundreds of them. This one I particularly like. A piece of burnt ash with a walnut back with an impression of an old Irish 20 pence. So all of these do need a safe place to go. And when I say I make bookmarks out of everything, I just need to prove a point. This is made out of a newspaper. Interesting little piece. This is made out of a legitimate Coke can. I have never used this, but isn't it brilliant? This is made out of a toilet roll. I don't know either. And this, well, this is what I use when I'm reading my almost complete collection of Discworld novels. It is made out of a box where I got a beautiful little statuette from the Discworld Emporium. I love that. So as you can see, I have a slight affinity for all these. So, let's start by decolletaging this box. Future Mike, or present Mike, depending on how you look at it here. Yeah, I'm not going to put you through this. It turned out okay, but not great. So, here's a really, really sped up version of it, and a bit of music. Before we get on to the real meat and bones of this particular video, bookmarks. So, while this dries and further cements the fact that this is woodworking, not an arts and crafts channel, let's get down to the main focus of this video. In my experience, there are two surefire ways to make a nice bookmark out of timber. You can either cut a slice of solid timber, like this one here, that has a nice grain, and then sand it down, or you can use wood veneers and make yourself basically a teeny tiny sheet of plywood that you can add whatever decoration that you like. The thing about veneers is you can get whatever you want. So you can have beech or ash or walnut or oak, or you can even get colours. The limit on this is really your imagination, and most places that sell veneer will sell you a little sample piece about the size of a piece of 8x4, and you can get a 8x4 we'll send you a little sample about the size of an A4 sheet. You can get quite a lot of bookmarks out of that. Also with veneers you can get material that you wouldn't be able to get in solid, like certain tropical hardwoods that are no longer available commercially, or burls. This gives you quite a large palette, shall we say, to paint with. So it's a good method in terms of what you can do creatively. So my preference, although you can get some really nice intricate designs using veneer and marquetry, and try this right out, and if you want me to do some videos on marquetry, I will. This one in particular I quite like, little stained glass window. What I like to do with my wooden bookmarks is I like to use them as a record of the books I've read with this bookmark. As you can see here, this one has both sides. And for that I need to pick a material that takes the ink well and will shine up. So for that I like to use either red deal or oak or poplar, and that's what we're going to make this one out of, because it'll shine once it's finished. It's sealed there forever. So the easiest of the two methods in terms of just straight getting out a bookmark is to cut it out of solid. So I'll do that first, and then I'll show you how to make it out of veneer. I'm going to make a plain one like this that I'll be writing the books I've read on. Like I said, if you want to see a video on veneering and marquetry in the future, just let me know. Drop a comment down below. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cut ourselves a little slab. So I'm going to use my bandsaw to cut this. You can just do it with a handsaw. So from my experience of making way too many of these, the size you want that'll fit in the book and not damage it is about 1mm thick. Now that seems like it's tiny, teeny tiny, but when it's done, it's perfectly secure. If you go a little bit smaller, you're okay. If you go much smaller, it might crack. And speaking of cracking, you want to make sure when you're taking the timber, I'll get a pen here to mark this. So the grain on this piece here is going like that, and I want to try to take it that I'm cutting as much as I can with that one grain line. If I cut it this side, what I'd end up with is basically loads of tiny pieces that would easily stress and break. So what I'm going to do then, I'm going to cut it like that, get as much as I can on the one grain line. That'll give me a nice strong joint. And I'm going to cut it a little bit heavier, because what we're going to do is sand it down to our final size. So over to the bandsaw. Like I said, I wanted about 1 mil out, so I'm going to cut it maybe 1.5 mils and we'll sand the rest down. So now that we have this out, this is very simple. I'm just going to use the internet's favourite masking tape trick. I've showed this loads of times. So basically you put masking tape on what you want to stick it to. You put masking tape on the back of what you want to sand. Secure it up super glue. You don't need much. Activator on the other side. Just press it down, and then you're good. Now you can do this, if you're following along at home, you can do this with, even if you don't have a bit of stock, you can do it out of really anything, as long as you can cut it down one side, finish off the other side, just to give you that straight edge at least on one side. So all I'm going to do, introduce a bit of elbow grease and sand that down to its flat. I normally sand these up to about 240. I have this side done. I'll flip it around. I'll get that up to its final size, and I'll sand the other side. So I end up with two perfectly sanded sides. And then you can either leave it if you want to write all the years on it, or books are read on it, or finish it. My preference is clear acrylic lacquer. You get it in car shops. Dries in 15 minutes between coats, so you can get this done very quickly. I just enjoy this sanding. Right, so now we have this sanded. I've also done the edges. So in terms of width and length, I kind of base it off a novel size, which is about, or not a novel size, you know, paperback size, which is about the size of this sheet. So for that I find a length of about 120mm works. The width is up to you. Mine are normally 35 to 40. It makes it a bit easier if you have a bit of stock to not have to cut the width, because sometimes you want to cut this off with a scalpel and sometimes it can follow the grain. So next thing to do, cut this to length, and then this guy is done. So anytime you're cutting, and if I did a marker video I'd tell you this, several light passes is better than one hard pass. You can see there that's cut off. And I'm cutting off both ends here just for the sake that, I'm cutting off both ends because there's a little bit of in and out even when you're hand sanding, so it's thinner on the ends. So I squared up on one side, I mark my 120, I hide my square, and then just again make several light passes and cut across the grain. And you do the exact same thing if you're cut to the width. Like I said, you have to be careful when you're cutting along the grain that doesn't catch in the grain, but several light passes is the key. Now all I do is just take all of these edges off, take the edges off, and we're good to go. Now I know what you're thinking. We're making a solid wood, oh, you just cut it. It is simple, but it's cool. So let's get a bit more difficult and give you a bit more room for having fun. Let's talk about veneers. So, as I said, with veneers, you have a wider range of easily accessible material, and you can also do a lot of cooler stuff. But the important thing with this is this. So when I said that we were basically going to make a teeny tiny little piece of plywood, I wasn't joking. So the important thing with veneers, you'll see here, veneers have nice grain, but it's always a bit tight because of the way a veneer is cut. So it's very important to add strength when you're making something like this, that you orientate the grain like this. We're using 3 layers. So as you can see, I have the grain going up. This is my top layer, this is my middle, and this is my bottom. So crossing the grain like this, where you have it going up on one, crossing the other, putting it here, that's what gives plywood its strength. So we have to make sure that we do that. Because even if I just do that here in my hand, there's a lot less flex. And if I put them all that way, you can see immediately how much they're bending. By simply having that center one crossing like that, you're adding so much more strength. So that's what we're going to do here. So I've decided I like this piece of beech, and I like this piece of walnut. So I'm going to have beech one side, walnut the other side. And this oak here, I actually use it almost exclusively for middles because it's not very nice. So that's going to be our bit that's going crossways. So very simply, all you need for this is some glue, the veneers, sharp edge, a ruler, and a pencil. So let's start. So we're working off the same rough sizes. So we'll make it the same size. This is 35. So 35. 35, and I want to add a little bit of waste, so I'll add 5mm there, so I'm going to cut these to 40. And I'll just mark it like that. The same thing here, I'll add a little bit in length, so go 125. Mark our square, start cutting here. So as I said when I was cutting the other one at length, short, not very deep passes is the way to go, and you'll know when you're gone through. The same thing on the length here, but you want to be careful that you don't go into the brain, so even lighter passes, just to make sure that you're going into your knife line and not into the brain. So I'm nearly through there. Now simply then pick a spot on this walnut that I like. I think it's pretty okay everywhere, so I'll trace around it like that. The top of this is broken, so we'll rough cut it. The same thing then, I'll do my length cuts, and then I will do my width cuts. Now, I've got something. Walnut can be a little bit brittle, so what I'm going to do is just put a bit of masking tape over the top of it. Oh, I'm exposing my line, but a little bit of masking tape over the top, and that just helps break, or helps it stop breaking when I'm doing my horizontal cuts. And we just do the same thing with the other two layers. So let's get all the bits we don't need off the desk there. So then, well, I mean, it's very simple. We're going to apply glue between all these layers, making sure we don't glue the side with the tape on. And that's it. So let's do that. So we want to make sure that we don't dent or damage the material, because we won't have much room for sanding. So I'm just going to place this in between two pieces of melamine and just clamp it very carefully in my vise. So out of the clamps, I won't bore you by explaining again, but I'm just going to get a bookmark I've already done, put it on the face here and mark around it, and cut around that. That'll solve the fact that this is a little bit cattywampus. So there you have it. 2 ways to make a simple wooden bookmark that'll impress your friends, and 1 arts and crafts project that we won't talk about. Not that bad. Pretty bad, but it's not that bad. Like I said, if you want to learn, this is the very basic of making these. Like, want to learn more about doing marquetry ones like this, or hell, even a little bit of pyrography, because who doesn't love fire? And that does look pretty cool. Drop a comment down below and I'll see what I can do. So that's it. This is just a fun little video this week. Yeah, but like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And absolutely do try this at home. I'm actually pretty sure that it looked better when it was a really sad, unsalvageable book. Well, can't be good at everything, I suppose.